الآن مع النشيد الوطني لدولة الإمارات العربية المتحدة. Excellencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, please rise for the national anthem of the United Arab Emirates.
Excuse me, can you help me with directions? No? Anyone? Where am I? What is this place? Okay, let's see. What's here? Ah. The other way around. Hello? What? No, I think you have the wrong number. I don't want insurance now. So annoying.
السلام عليكم. يعطيك العافية أخوي. ضايع الأخو.
Sorry,
تبغى مساعدة؟
I'll just use my translation app. Sorry, what did you say?
ضايع تبغاني أساعدك في شيء؟
Yes, I'm sorry, I don't speak Arabic. I'm lost, I'm a tourist here. My friends are waiting for me at a place called Casa Al Hosn.
كاسا شو؟
Casa Al
قصر الحصن.
Yes, that one.
زين قصر الحصن تبغى تسوق زين نور ريال بالخير.
My name is Wanho.
أنا اسمي يوسف ونو.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too. عطني هالخريطة.
Thank you.
تبغى توصل هناك ما بنستعمل هالخريطة، في طرق أحسن وأسهل.
Can you help me?
إن شاء الله أقدر أساعدك، ليش لا؟
Perfect.
أول شيء عشان نوصل لوجهة لازم نعرف إحنا وين. تعال شوي. خلنا نشوف.
Wait, how did you do that?
آخر همك في أشياء ثانية بتشوفها بتعجبك إن شاء الله. انزين. أقرب موقع لنا الحين عشان نوصل لقصر الحصن. إحنا عندنا متحف اللوفر في أبو ظبي.
The Louvre Museum, it's famous.
سمعت عنه؟
Yes, of course.
عزيزي وين هو متحف اللوفر؟ تعال وياي. متحف اللوفر هو نتاج تعاون فيما بين دولة الإمارات العربية المتحدة وفرنسا. يحتوي على العديد من التحف اللي تمثل حضارات عديدة. والناتج هو أكبر متحف من نوعه هني في المنطقة بأكمله.
It's beautiful.
طبعاً والمتحف بإمكانك تزوره في أيام عديدة من أيام الأسبوع، فلا تفوته.
واو.
تعال. الحين على طريقنا بعد في وجهة ثانية بعد حلوة لازم تعرف عنها، ألا وهي مدينة مصدر.
There's more.
نعم. مدينة مصدر هي مدينة it's a city all about sustainability. المكاتب، the residential areas, the plazas وغيرها وايد بعد. تتعرف على خدمة من الخدمات هني تتعرف عليها تقريباً أو التكنولوجيا المستخدمة فيها.
Wait, are these driverless cars?
Indeed they are. Masdar City is not only about driverless cars, it is about research and development, it is about recycling, saving energy, and much, much more.
And the architecture is amazing.
Of course it is. بس في عنا طبعا درب طويل. This is not the only thing you should feast your eyes on. We are coming across our big and beautiful mosque, Warno.
Yes, Sheikh Zayed Grand Mosque. It's beautiful and it's huge.
The Sheikh Zayed Grand Mosque, let me tell you this, it covers an area of 30 acres and the courtyard الخارجي من المسجد يصل إلى 17,000 متر مربع. It is also considered to be the biggest example of marble mosaic. What do you know about the mosque?
I heard it has the region's biggest carpet and the largest chandelier in the world.
The largest carpet in the world, it goes up to more than 60,000 square feet.
60,000.
The third biggest chandelier. Let me tell you this. تم تأسيس هذا المسجد من قبل الوالد المؤسس الشيخ زايد طيب الله ثراه. And what he wanted, he united the diversity of the culture of the Islamic world with the modern architecture and art at the same time.
MashaAllah, it's so beautiful. Shukran for all this information. I'm learning so much. And you're beginning to speak some more English.
You're beginning to speak Arabic. You
I'm
can
learning.
lead this tour guide as well.
Wow.
Tamam. Now let's go to our next location.
Qasr al-Watan Palace.
Indeed.
I know it.
You stole the words right out of my mouth, Wanho. But Qasr al-Watan is a testament of our leaders and the spirit of the people of the UAE. It hosted a lot of diplomatic personalities and presidents all over the world. But you don't have to be a diplomat to visit it.
So I have a question.
I have an answer.
As a tourist,
Yes.
am I allowed to visit Qasr al-Watan Palace?
Of course you are, Wanho. At any time you can come and look at the marvel of this wonderful structure from the inside and out.
مرة حلو.
Now, of course it is. You're really getting better at your tongue right
I'm
here.
trying.
All right, now let's take you to the Corniche Street.
اوكي هذا كورنيش ابو ظبي على البحر في مقاهي مطاعم اماكن يلعبون فيها اليهال ولما يكون الجو حلو نصير كورنيش ابو ظبي.
ما شاء الله عليك. Now let me tell you this, the beauty of the Corniche is that it is the ultimate word of balance. You have the urban city at one side and the waters on the other side. But if you keep strolling along the Corniche, you might find some beautiful scenes at your location.
قصر الحصن.
Indeed it is. Now, you want to come here and meet your friends, I believe, but did you know Qasr al-Husn is the oldest stone building in Abu Dhabi, and it was built in 1761.
1761.
Yes, and
Wow.
look at it, still looks as good as new.
Well maintained.
Now, when you come at an area like this, sometimes around such a historical monument, you will find a beautiful art.
Oh. Wow.
One
Is this
whole-
a traditional performance? عرض تراثي؟
Yes,
Mar
it
Abu
is.
Dhabi?
It's called Al-Iyala, and we are very rich when it comes to heritage. But instead of saying the answer to what this is, let's watch it with our own eyes.
Yes.
Let's
Wow,
go.
there's so many people.
You're gonna love this. Follow me.
so fascinating.
This Wangho is an art that is passed on from one generation to another. We truly believe in culture, in heritage, and in art because, believe it or not, those without a past have no future.
لا it's fascinating بصراحة. وايد حلو، وايد عجيب، وايد حبيت المدينة، وايد استانست، وشي المدينة تقدر الروح. ويوسف أنت ما قصرت، صراحة وراويتني كل شيء المدينة وراويتني حسن الضيافة، والله ما قصرت،
The
مشكور.
pleasure is all mine, and I believe that you have arrived at your destination right now.
طب ايش رايك تي وياي أعرفك على ربعي؟
أكيد، بس you will take the map and you'll be introducing them to the قصر الحصن.
قصر حصن من هني وتعلمنا بعد الرمسة الإماراتية. يلا تعال.
The student became the master.
No need for this.
Yep.
يا مرحبا بكم في أبو ظبي. Welcome to Abu Dhabi. Welcome to the United Arab Emirates. Your Highness, Sheikh Theyab bin Mohamed bin Zayed Al Nahyan, Member of the Executive Council and Chairman of Abu Dhabi Crown Prince's Court. Your Excellency, Mohamed Ashraf Ghani, President of Islamic Republic of Afghanistan. Your Excellency, Josiah Vorenga Bainimarama, Prime Minister and Minister of I2K Affairs and Sugar Industry of the Republic of Fiji. Your Excellency, Falah Mohamed Ahbabi, Member of the Executive Council, Chairman of the Department of Municipalities and Transport. Your Excellency, Madame Maimunah Mohamed Sharif, United Nations Under Secretary General and Executive Director of UN Habitat. Your Highnesses, Your Excellencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the 10th session of the World Urban Forum, the world's premier conference on cities hosted by the government of Abu Dhabi and convened by UN Habitat. My name is Amira Mohamed, and I will be your moderator this morning. If you are on social media, please use hashtag WAFTAN. A warm welcome to all of you. It's my pleasure, ladies and gentlemen, to introduce His Excellency Falah Mohamed Al-Ahbabi, Member of the Executive Council, Chairman of the Department of Municipalities and Transport, to the stage.
Your Highness Sheikh Theyab bin Mohamed bin Zayed Al Nahyan, Member of Abu Dhabi Executive Council and the Chairman of Abu Dhabi Crown Prince Court. Your Excellencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, it is my great honor to welcome you to the 10th session of the World Urban Forum in Abu Dhabi, the capital of the United Arab Emirates and the first city in the Arab world to host such a prestigious event. On behalf of the UAE, I would like to extend my thanks to the UN Habitat team for their continuous support and their guidance and commitment toward bringing the vision of this forum to a reality. It's also a privilege to see the world's greatest mind in sustainability come together from more than 160 countries to challenge the conventional ways to tackle crucial issues and to discover a new insight on urbanizations. Ladies and gentlemen, with more than 18,000 registered participants and 580 speakers and 133 exhibitors, we have strengthened our capacity and remained united in our vision to create a better world for the next generation. Today, the forum holds a particular significance, as it will also be the start of a decade of action involving everyone, everywhere, to implement the Sustainable Development Goals and to accelerate solutions to the world's biggest challenges. The theme of our World Urban Forum is Cities of Opportunities, connecting culture and innovation. It is an opportunity for us to refocus our priorities and exchange a crucial knowledge on sustainable development of our cities, especially on how they are planned, built, and managed. The world is facing paradigm shift in how we approach sustainable growth, yet culture and innovation remain at the heart of our global conversation on urbanization. They reaffirm our universal aspiration to achieve more inclusive, safe, resilient, and sustainable cities. With record levels of migration the world is facing, we are seeing the most culturally advanced cities we have ever seen. Such diversity continues to be a valued asset to our communities, making it important that we create more permanent, socially cohesive places for residents and everyone. In the UAE, for example, we have witnessed remarkable growth over the past 50 years. In 2019, the population grew to more than 10 million, and now is home to some of our most iconic landmarks. At this forum, we hope to learn and share ways we can develop solutions to unify such concepts in sustainable urban development, and to coordinate planning in a way that serves both the history of our cities and our next generation requirements. The success of the World Urban Forum is primarily linked to the cooperation, partnership, and initiatives between the local partners and international partners. These collective efforts will enable us to achieve the main goals of the new urban agenda and sustainable development targets. Working together can only lead to more tangible rewards for our cities. In today's world, change is a must. For example, advancement in technology such as artificial intelligence and the Internet of Things are just a few of the major breakthroughs that are revolutionizing the way we look at our cities. The forum will explore the importance of urban development in keeping pace with the digital revolution and how technology can empower communities to pioneer smart cities. This will open doors of opportunities for investment, jobs, and economies. Ladies and gentlemen, during the course of this week, we will delve into the complexity of cultural heritage and modernization with innovative solutions that will maximize and elevate our economic, social, and environmental outcomes. The heritage of our city will not only preserve its identity, but also shape the diverse communities of those who live, work, and enjoy our cities. With the right creative approaches and renewed understanding of locality, heritage can continue to be heavily weaved into the fabric of our cities. The heritage of the UAE will always be guided by the legacy of our late Sheikh Zayed bin Sultan Al Nahyan, whose foresight, wisdom, and commitment continues to inspire us. In the word of late Sheikh Zayed, the real asset of advanced nations is its people. So let us continue to educate ourselves, learn from each other, and work together, for we, as United Nations, have the capability to unfold a new world of possibility. Ladies and gentlemen, once again, welcome to the 10th edition of the World Urban Forum, and I wish you a very successful week. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Your Excellency. We now request that you direct your attention to the screen behind me, where we will see a video message from the United Nations Secretary General, Mr. Antonio Guterres.
It is a pleasure to greet the World Urban Forum. I thank Abu Dhabi for hosting this gathering, the first time it has been held in the Arab region. Urbanization is one of the megatrends of our times, and steering it well will help us address global challenges such as climate change. But cities suffer from high rates of inequality. In 2018, 1 in 4 urban residents lived in slum-like conditions, while only half of urban residents had convenient access to public transport. Urban inequality is also gendered. Women are often more dependent on public transport to move around the city. As we embark on a decade of action to deliver the Sustainable Development Goals, the world's cities, towns, and communities will be at the heart of this work. The United Nations counts on local and national leaders, businesses, civil society, and other partners to help provide solutions to global threats, including the climate emergency. I encourage all of you to commit to ambitious actions to implement the new urban agenda. Together, let's make sustainable urbanization a reality and ensure that no one and no place is left behind. Thank you.
We thank the Secretary General for his remarks. And now, it's my honor to welcome His Excellency Mohamed Ashraf Ghani, President of the Islamic Republic of Afghanistan, to deliver his remarks. Please.
Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Your Highness, co-chairs, excellencies, ladies and gentlemen. Devoting the 10th session of the World Urban Forum to the theme of cities, of opportunities, connecting culture and innovation is a call for urgency of the challenge of cities and the culture of sharing embodied by UAE in general and the leadership of His Highness Sheikh Mohamed in particular. To meet the challenge posed by the scale and scope of urbanization in the context of global uncertainty, disruptive and destructive change requires a true sense of urgency. As 3/4 of the world's estimated 9 billion people by 2050 are projected to live in cities, the scale of the task does not allow for complacency. For the first time in human history, the absolute majority of humanity will be urban. The scope of the task is equally big. Based on a study of 500 cities of over 750,000 inhabitants, in 21 megacities of over 10 million people, shall develop the following 6 archetypes. Underdeveloped urban centers, underprivileged crowded cities, developing mega hubs, sprawling metropolises, urban powerhouses in prosperous communities. We are here today in an urban powerhouse. But if the former 4 are to embark on the pathways of transformation to the latter 2, and all 6 are to embrace the goal of becoming compact, sustainable cities between now and 2050, urgent, systematic, and global action is required. In a fast-changing global context. Environmental change. With the Earth currently on the unfortunate course of becoming 2 degrees warmer by 2050, turns the current urban planning assumptions regarding energy, transport, and water on their head. The 4th industrial revolution is disrupting the definition of urban well-being and human well-being in general. The 5th wave of global violence changes and poses unprecedented risk to urban security, public spaces, and freedom of association and travel. Reemergence of big power rivalry makes for uncertainty in a time when cooperation at the regional and global level is most needed. The silver lining is that we have the tools and the repertoire of techniques to solve the problems. Hence the need to focus on the title of this forum. Doing so, however, requires taking a nuanced approach to culture. Culture is a universe of agreement and disagreement, embodied in implicit rules of the game and explicit governing codes and ever-changing. Cultures of communities of knowledge, expertise poses the most significant constraint. What has worked in the last 60 years is not going to work in the next 30 years. Organizations like UN Habitat are most in need of cultural change. Culture of the firms. Most firms have been on unsustainable paths and been providing the wrong advice. Culture of organizations, particularly global organizations like the IMF and the World Bank, with assumptions that are still reflection of a different world. Culture of the state. We need to differentiate between the culture of the state and culture of the people. Blaming the people is reductionist. And civilizational communities of affinity and identity must be differentiated. If you want to see culture at work, look at the Sheikh Zayed Mosque, a grand synthesis of all that is best in Islamic civilization. Here, there's also need to differentiate between media in terms of the technology, because when we talk about digital gap, we're talking about technology. When we are talking about convergence, it's the cultural codes that govern the technologies. In turning to innovation, the first challenge is to move from the culture of urban planning to design thinking. And when we talk about planning, we think we have the solutions. When we think about designs, we forge the solutions together and take account of the changing context. From the energy, the wasteful energy and wasteful water treatments or transport that is directed towards elites rather than masses. The second aspect of innovation is to harness collective intelligence. Modern technology and ancient ways of consultation have made it possible to truly think about collective intelligence as a form of solution to our problems. Thirdly, hierarchy and participation must be balanced. If top-down and bottom-up solutions are not simultaneously engaged in, we are going to be constantly experimenting, which is necessary, but a culture of participation in ensuring the ground, but also not analysis leading to paralysis is important. And in order to move forward, we need to shape the rules of the game rather than to make them so restricted that possibilities of future development are avoided and foreclosed. And this requires fostering innovation and collaboration and sharing of the experience, which again, holding this conference in UAE is a great step because it shows UAE has always been willing to share, and we Afghans particularly are grateful for this. My last remarks are about leadership and management. Leadership in today's context is first and foremost to deal with uncertainty and be able to respond to constant change in context, yet have the sense of the medium term and the long term. Focusing on the medium term and long term is no longer just a discipline, but an art. We need to be able to prepare for multiple scenarios and take stock of changing context and yet pursue goals. And what is important, particularly, given the role of the UN in this gathering and convening of this forum, is to balance vision with delivery. The Secretary General's remarks on climate change are extraordinary. Do the UN agencies have the capacity to live up to that challenge? Are they capable of working with us, the governments, the people, and the networks? In this, given the scale, scope of the task requires true sense of humility and a culture of learning. And it also, if we are to combine participation with hierarchy, we cannot have the view of the state and government as just being about rules of the game. The state in the urban sector must become entrepreneurial. It must have the capacity and nimbleness to respond to these. Let me conclude with two observations. One, to express our deepest sympathies to the people of China, in Wuhan in particular, and to the people of Australia for the bushfires. Both signs of the changing world and the type of challenges that in the 21st century our large megacities will face. And then to say, we in Afghanistan, who've suffered for 40 years from unwanted conflict, imposed warfare, are embarking on a truly creative urban dialogue. Last month, I spoke personally to every district, 22 districts of the Kabul city, and to the 14 districts surrounding it. People truly have a sense of what their priorities are, and literacy or gender are not blocks. We must avoid the stereotype that certain inherited notions of culture will prevent us from engagement and participation. Trusting in people's diagnosis allows us to have the necessary coalition, and this is to bring networks of innovation with people's participation in forms of governance that would enable us. We are open to create the opportunities. We count on your cooperation and partnership to move forward together. Thank you.
Thank you, Your Excellency. It's now my honor to welcome His Excellency Josiah Vorenge Bainimarama, Prime Minister and Minister for I2K Affairs and Sugar Industry of the Republic of Fiji, to deliver his remarks. Please.
Your Highnesses, Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, good morning, Assalamu alaikum, and as we say in Fiji, Bula Minaka. It's a pleasure to be here at the opening session of the 10th World Urban Forum. Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, I was here recently in Abu Dhabi for the Future Sustainability Summit, where I spoke on the urgency of innovation in tackling the existential threat of climate change. The moment I arrived back in Fiji, the full weight of that urgency came crashing down as I went from the airport straight to an emergency briefing on Tropical Cyclone Tino, the sixth cyclone to strike our nation in the past 4 years. And as I speak, we have another tropical cyclone heading our way. But whether it's the more frequent cyclones, the rising seas, or extreme waves of heat, Fijians aren't alone in enduring the deadly and devastating consequences of climate change. This is a global emergency. As long as our planet continues heating, no people will be spared from greater suffering. Ladies and gentlemen, Your Excellencies, this week we have the opportunity to discuss cities' role in averting that future by making urban living synonymous with sustainability. Over the past century and a half, cities and living standards have grown remarkably. But that progress has come at the cost of a warming world. Urban regions today are home to around half of the world's population and are responsible for 70% of total carbon emissions. This old model of development is untenable. If we continue to urbanize on carbon-intensive industries, the world's cities will crumble into hotbeds of inequality and extreme vulnerability. Your Excellencies, I could speak all morning about the suffering that the unchecked rise of carbon emissions will inflict on the world's urban dwellers. With 90% of urban areas located on our coastlines, cities are particularly vulnerable. But I don't see fear as our strongest call to action. I'm here to share a different story, a story of hope. Hope that cities can emerge as game changers for climate action while also lifting our people to new and better opportunity. Thanks to the leadership of future-focused cities, we know that serving our climate's long-term interests serves our citizens' best interests today. Many cities are already proving that climate actions means clean air, clean water, cooler temperatures, and better jobs. And these gains are not a generation away. They are improving people's lives right now. Small tweaks in design are keeping buildings cooler and shaving dollars off families' electricity bills. Walkable neighborhoods are keeping cars off the road, keeping the air clean, and keeping people healthy. Turning unused lands into public parks is mitigating flooding and bringing life and activity into communities. Transitioning to renewable power, such as wind and solar, is allowing cities to invest in clean public transport without emitting emissions and adding emissions. And lighting city streets with trees is cooling climates, restoring watersheds, ensuring clean air, and lowering stress, of course. These are outcomes any leader would strive to deliver for their people. Importantly, these advances are harnessing the green potential of high-density living. It's more efficient to supply services to 100 families in a single building than 100 houses spread out over several acres. Urban households, on average, emit less carbon and create less waste. And when we build up, not out, we limit environmental degradation. If we tap into these inherent efficiencies, cities can save us, standing not as monuments of excess, but as symbols of sustainability. Fiji is firmly committed to becoming carbon neutral by 2050, not because we rank among the world's high-emitting countries. In fact, we are one of the lowest, but because we know that every percentage of emissions reduction matters. No country, no city, no community's contribution is too small. And I call on every nation, every city, and every community to join us in achieving the net zero by 2050. Thank you. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, if we force this work on our children and grandchildren, we'll risk damage to our ecosystems and our global climate that cannot be undone. Join us for the sake of those coming generations. Join us for the good of your citizens today. Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, and as I speak, a contingent of Fijian engineers from the Republic of Fiji military forces are in Australian communities ravaged by the recent bushfire crisis, another climate-fueled catastrophe. Watching the emotions from the Australian people that the assistance of our engineers has inspired has made one thing abundantly clear. In times of crisis, we see the best in humanity. It is leaders' task to tap into that innate human capacity for kindness and resilience, that instinct to lift up our fellow citizens and to live in balance with each other and the natural world. Whether you are a Fijian living in our capital Suva, an Emirati in Abu Dhabi, or any of the 4.2 billion people who call cities home, our futures are all intertwined. Ultimately, I believe we can build sustainable cities because I believe in human cooperation, ingenuity, and resilience. That effort will be led by a new recognition that people's healthiest, safest, and most prosperous outcomes are only possible in a carbon-neutral world. May we go into this World Urban Forum embracing this recognition as critical for our cities, for our people, and for our future. Thank you.
Thank you, Your Excellency. It's my pleasure to introduce the United Nations Under-Secretary General and Executive Director of UN Habitat, Madame Maimunah Mohamed Sharif, to deliver her remarks.
Your Highness, Sheikh Theyab bin Mohamed bin Zayed Al Nahyan, Member of the Executive Council and Chairman of Abu Dhabi Crown Prince Court. Your Excellency, Ashraf Ghani, President of Afghanistan. Your Excellency, Zozaya Boreka, Bainimarama, Prime Minister and Minister of E2K Affairs and Sugar Industry of the Republic of Fiji. Your Excellency, Falah Ahbabi, Chairman of the Department of Municipalities and Transport, representing the local organizing committee of World Urban Forum 10. Your Highnesses, Excellencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. A very good morning to all of you. It gives me a great pleasure to welcome all of you to the 10th session of the World Urban Forum. This is the first time the World Urban Forum is taking place in the Arab region, and we cannot ask for a better host than the Emirate of Abu Dhabi. With the indulgence of His Highness, please accept the grateful thanks of the United Nations Human Settlement Program, UN Habitat, for your generous support. The leadership of His Excellency Falah Al-Ahbabi and the Departments of Municipalities and Transport, including His Excellency Mohamed Al-Qadar, has truly made this a demonstration of good cooperation between the United Nations and Abu Dhabi. Your Highness, this 10th session of the World Urban Forum is full of special significance. Not only is the World Urban Forum is truly of age as the world premier gathering of thinkers and doers for sustainable urbanization, but this year, World Urban Forum coincides with the 75th anniversary year of the United Nations. As stated by the Secretary General, the world needs multilateralism to resolve the great challenges of our times, the climate emergency and its underlying causes, an economic system that is unsustainable. World Urban Forum demonstrates of the kind of cooperation the world needs today, bringing together over 80 ministers, 70 mayors, and over 18,000 participants from 140 nations. The growth trajectory of the World Urban Forum demonstrates the importance of Sustainable Development Goals number 11. The concentration of resources, talent, capital, and power in city regions is the mega trends of this new millennium. With 60% of the world's population projected to live in urban area by 2030, urbanization is inevitable, and if left unplanned, it will continue to lead humanity deeper into the climate emergency and higher form of inequality and deprivations. Your Highnesses, Excellencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, as all of you know, we have the ability to turn urban challenges into opportunities. This is why the theme of this 10th session of the World Urban Forum is entitled Cities of Opportunities. In the past 4 decades, UN Habitat has worked with communities, local and national governments to demonstrate that integrated, holistic, and participatory planning can turn urbanization into a development bonus. We need urban planners, architects, sociologists, and other related professionals to help steer decision makers towards sustainable development. Ultimately, we need visionary leadership. Please allow me to acknowledge and thank His Excellency Ashraf Ghani, President of Afghanistan, and His Excellency Bainimarama, Prime Minister of the Republic of Fiji, for their continued support of UN Habitat. It is their sense of urgency, their ability to translate policy into practice, and to regard urbanization in holistic terms and not as something sectoral to be confined to any single ministry that will ensure urbanization can be transformed into opportunities for sustainable development. SDG number 11 is where all of the SDGs come together for safe, sustainable, and inclusive development. The only way we can realize this potential is we can bring together key thinkers, doers, financiers, grassroots, and youth, women, people with disability, older person, and decision makers to think and do in a different scale. Get all of them to turn urbanization into a net positive contributor to life on Earth. The decade of action called by the Secretary General opens a wonderful window of opportunity to the sustainable urban development agenda. Urbanization and cities are considered as an entry point for the 17 goals because their density, economies of scale, and proximity are akin to an invisible string that brings all development goals together. World Urban Forum 10 is more than a conference. It is a social, accounting act and an opportunity to reaffirm commitment beyond general statement and declaration. In order to ensure the solutions implemented are comprehensive and not merely reactive, we need a convener, a facilitator, and investor. Through World Urban Forum, UN Habitat, and our generous host cities have the opportunity to convene the world's single best urban forum. This year, despite the challenges, we have some 18,000 registrants. And at this point, please allow me to express our solidarity with the citizens of the People's Republic of China, especially our friends in the city of Wuhan, who continue to work very hard and at great cost to their economy to keep the rest of us safe. At UN Habitat, we rely on partnership like the one we have with city government like Wuhan, Nairobi, and Abu Dhabi to ensure that the urban solution we provide are catalytic and can be implemented at scale. UN Habitat is a relatively small UN agency that many of the member states told me, small but beautiful. And we focus intensively on our technical expertise and cooperation with cities to localize the Sustainable Development Goals. Through our flagship program, Research, Technical Excellence, we believe that member states and all our partners can deliver urban solutions that have greater positive impact for most vulnerable communities on the ground. We all have a full agenda ahead of us this week, and also the opportunity for innovation. This brings me to the theme of the forum. Each World Urban Forum is unique for its theme. Cities of Opportunities, Connecting Cultures and Innovation refers to the needs to regard culture in a very broadest sense. We need to be nimble, not backward-looking, but embracing change, be inclusive, and ask what can I do to make my city more resilient, inclusive, and happy. So, culture and innovation are a creative capital that has direct implications on various dimensions of development and prosperity. They do not happen by accident. They require a creative process that is embedded in the way urban centers operate. It is not just for government or business, but the entire society to contribute with its own powers of imagination and creative transformation. And this has to be encouraged, properly established, institutionalized, and legitimized. Historically, urbanization trends and conditions and development of region have largely influenced by the culture in turn, and culture has been influenced by urbanization. So understanding this relationship is critical to bring value to development, prioritizing action and ensuring policy outcomes that are human-centered, inclusive, and equitable. The World Urban Forum is not a legislative forum, but a unique one where government meets stakeholders. What I hope to see from the 10th session is a set of declared action, commitments that we will make on a voluntary basis as individuals, as communities, cities, countries, and even at local and regional global levels that helps mark the decade of action to accomplish the Sustainable Development Goal by 2030. From this 10th session of World Urban Forum here in Abu Dhabi, let us repurpose this forum, strengthen it, and make a new legacy. Let me share my aspirations for this forum. From World Urban Forum 10 onwards till 2030, we declare our commitments, review the progress of the implementation of the new urban agenda. Secondly, let us take up this unique opportunity to be different and bold, taking an appropriate stand on what we want to change and how, and daring to communicate what the next steps are and declare them. You can find our blueprint in the UN Habitat Strategic Plan 2020 to 2023 and our flagship program. Finally, let us commit to come together every 2 years till 2030 and beyond, merely advocating for a better future in a rapidly urbanizing world, and to implement all we can to ensure no one, no place is left behind. Your Highnesses, Excellencies, distinguished guests, friends, ladies and gentlemen, I thank you for your attention. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Madam Maimunah, Mohamed, Sharif. And now, I would like to humbly invite His Highness Sheikh Theyab bin Mohamed bin Zayed Al Nahyan, Member of the Executive Council, and Her Excellency, Madam Maimunah Mohamed Sharif, United Nations Under-Secretary General and Director of the UN Habitat, to initiate the official opening of the 10th session of the World Urban Forum. So, ladies and gentlemen, kindly remain in your seats as we continue our program. So, ladies and gentlemen, kindly remain in your seats as we continue our program. Your Excellencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, now that the World Urban Forum has officially opened, I would like to tell you more about your exciting week ahead. It will be a packed week featuring 6 dialogue sessions on themes ranging from frontier technologies and sustainable cities to urban planning and heritage preservation. 16 stakeholder roundtables will bring together key decision makers, practitioners, and thought leaders. And 14 special sessions will be held on fascinating topics, including the relationship and role of culture and innovation to inequality, migration, climate change, and youth, as well as sustainable urban development in Arab region. In addition, there will be 400 events hosted by partners, including networking events, side events, the One UN Room, Voices from Cities, the SDG Action Zone, and the Urban Library. There will also be the UN Habitat Better City Film Festival and an urban expo featuring over 130 exhibitors showcasing innovative and sustainable solutions. A full week, right? So, ladies and gentlemen, let's have a look at a short video on our theme, culture and innovation.
Culture and innovation are at the heart of our cities. Culture drives our cities, making them prosperous and sustainable. In urban areas, this can be clearly seen through museums, theatres, art, library and food. Or culture can be more intangible, encompassing knowledge, beliefs, values and behaviours. Involving everyone in their city's culture and recognising all cultures brings urban communities together, promotes social cohesion and heals divisions. We must value traditional knowledge and local urban solutions as well. These help prevent climate-related disasters, support resilience, and make our cities, towns and communities unique places to live and visit. Used effectively, innovation and technology have the potential to exert a huge impact on societies, economies and the environment. The smart city is an inclusive one, making effective use of digital technologies and data to innovate and meet urban challenges for everyone. This includes connecting citizens and leadership, reducing air pollution and improving urban planning and mobility. Increasingly, cities and their leaders are recognising the importance of culture and innovation to provide solutions to the many urban challenges our communities face. By interweaving culture and innovation, we can truly ensure our cities become cities of opportunities, where no one and no place is left behind.
So, ladies and gentlemen, we will now hear from some of our delegates and their thoughts on the theme of WOF 10. It's my pleasure to introduce Mr. Ernesto Otone Ramirez, Assistant Director General for Culture at UNESCO. Please.
Thank you. Your Excellencies, Ms. Maimunah, Mohd Sharif, Under-Secretary General and Executive Director of UN Habitat, ladies and gentlemen. It is my great pleasure to join you today for the opening of the 10th session of the World Urban Forum here in Abu Dhabi. I would like to congratulate Ms. Maimunah, Mohd Sharif, and our colleagues at UN Habitat for organizing this stimulating forum, which on this occasion is devoted to the theme that resonates closely with UNESCO's mission and priorities, cities of opportunities connecting culture to innovation. As the United Nations agency with a specific mandate in the field of culture, UNESCO has been working steadfastly to place culture at the heart of the global development agenda. Our agency has been striving to demonstrate the benefits of cultures for sustainable development through policy guidance, operational actions, targeted global campaigns, and initiative networks and key partnerships. In this regard, I wish to thank our long-standing partners of UNESCO, the United Arab Emirates, and the city of Abu Dhabi for hosting this global forum. UNESCO porte l'agenda de la culture au sens large, à travers le patrimoine bâti comme le patrimoine vivant, mais aussi les industries culturelles et créatives et l'économie créative dans son ensemble. La culture est ainsi intimement liée à l'innovation et vice-versa. Pour la première fois, le Forum urbain mondial se tient dans les États arabes, une région qui a connu ces derniers temps les souffrances de la culture en temps de crise, mais aussi les ressources de la culture offrent aux communautés lorsqu'elles se remettent des tragédies. Avec le soutien des Émirats arabes unis, l'UNESCO a lancé l'initiative phare « Faire revivre l'esprit de Mossoul » en Irak, en réunissant des partenaires du monde entier pour reconstruire et protéger le patrimoine commun de l'humanité, restaurer les identités plurielles du peuple irakien et soutenir les communautés dans leur relèvement. L'UNESCO est en effet déterminée à tirer parti de la culture en tant que vecteur essentiel du relèvement après la crise. Alors que les villes sont de plus en plus touchées par les conflits, les crises et les catastrophes, qui elles-mêmes augmentent en nombre, en ampleur et en complexité, le rôle de la culture pour la reconstruction et le relèvement des villes est aujourd'hui plus pertinent que jamais. La sauvegarde de la culture renforce la résilience pour un relèvement durable des communautés et des villes. En tant que source d'identité, la culture peut également servir de catalyseur clé pour favoriser la tolérance, la compréhension mutuelle et la réconciliation, atténuer les tensions sociales et empêcher une nouvelle escalade de violence. Nous l'avons notamment démontré à travers notre partenariat UNESCO-Banque mondiale, grâce auquel nous avons construit un cadre politique et opérationnel sur la culture de la reconstruction des villes. Mesdames et messieurs, il est maintenant avéré que la culture, à travers le patrimoine culture bâti, comme le patrimoine vivant et l'économie créative, est un vecteur de clé de durabilité économique, sociale et environnementale. La culture est le point transversal qui relie trois dimensions fondamentales du développement urbain: durable, l'humain, l'environnement et les politiques. Pour être durable, le développement urbain doit être fondé sur l'humanité, intégrer les cultures, les valeurs et les besoins des communautés locales. Un environnement urbain et des espaces publics de qualité sont intrinsèquement façonnés par la culture. C'est à travers la sauvegarde du patrimoine culturel et naturel que les individus et les communautés pourront vivre au sein de leur environnement urbain. Les politiques intégrées qui s'appuient sur la culture sont essentielles afin de promouvoir des processus participatifs de gouvernement local. Nous vivons dans un monde de plus en plus urbain. Dans 3 décennies, plus de 2/3 de la population mondiale vivront dans les villes. Cette urbanisation sans précédent pose de nouveaux défis et nous invite à repenser nos politiques de développement. New challenges require new approaches, culture and even more. So when paired with innovation can make a difference for urban future. Opportunities are arising with technology, including artificial intelligence, which have the potential to make culture more accessible than ever, but also raise new issues, such as the fair remuneration of artists. At the same time, creative processes are becoming one of the most important dimensions of new economies in all regions of the world. While UNESCO recognizes the economic opportunities presented by certain aspects of cultural heritage and economy and creativity, it is essential to prioritize the safeguarding of their social function and cultural meanings. This should be distinguished from the branding and labeling of a product to avoid the over-commercialization and commodification of culture and ensure the future sustainability of communities. Culture is also a powerful resource to face our new global challenges, from mass migration to climate change and conflicts. As city becomes more diverse and heterogeneous, respect for cultural diversity is among the best guarantees of international peace, security, and sustainability. Cultural diversity provides the fresh ideas and perspectives that enrich our lives in countless ways, allowing us all to grow and thrive together. If properly safeguarded and promoted, cultural diversity can be an unparalleled stimulus of development that is truly sustainable. Culture is simultaneously content and container, from the ability of cultural heritage to mobilize individuals and communities and forge cohesion and resilience to the importance of indigenous knowledge and traditional skills in preserving biodiversity and ecosystems. Finalmente, poner la cultura y la innovación en el corazón del desarrollo es una inversión clave para el futuro de la humanidad. UNESCO y su mandato especializado en educación, cultura y ciencia está determinada a promover las dimensiones humanas del desarrollo, tanto a nivel local como nacional. Escucharemos con mucho interés los intercambios que vendrán en los próximos días para poder colaborar con todos ustedes en la construcción de políticas integradas a través de la cultura que contribuyan a tener ciudades más inclusivas, seguras, resilientes, prósperas y durables. Muchas gracias.
Thank you, Mr. Tony Ramirez. So, ladies and gentlemen, it's a kindly request. Please remain in your seats as we continue our program. Thank you. And now, it's my pleasure to welcome Mr. Eduardo Morino, Head of Knowledge and Innovation at UN Habitat, to the podium.
Can we have the PowerPoint?
Yes, sure.
Marhaban. Perhaps some of you will be surprised to know that in the middle of the 19th century, the total population of the world was already 1.3 billion. You will be even more surprised to know that a very tiny proportion of this, less than 5% or so, was living in urban areas. The demographic landscape of that time was overwhelmingly rural. The adventure of urbanization took many years, and today we have 7.5 billion people living in the planet, and as much as 4.2 billion are urban dwellers. In 2007, United Nations informed to the world that a major milestone has been achieved when the urban population outnumbered the rural population. This was the advent of the Homo urbanus, a new species that thinks, acts, dreams in a way that is based on an urban mindset and an urban culture. And we can ask ourselves, what is an urban culture? And UN Habitat would like to present to you in a different, interesting way what is culture for us and how it's integrated in our program. In 1963, an anthropologist Krugman, came with 164 definitions of what is urban. I was given very short time, and then I'm going to present to you only 100 of these definitions. No, in reality, what I'm going to tell you is how culture is made. And it's made of two important different things. One, we call it the functional part of culture, and the other, the anthropological. It has to do with human creation. It has to do with intellectual creation that forms our beliefs, our capabilities, the way we think, our habits, our morals. All this together creates a knowledge based on what culture can represent for us. And all this underpins the notion that culture becomes a public asset. At the same time, culture has to do with the way we act, the way we think, the way we organize ourselves, the ways we are creative and innovative, but very importantly, the way we also manifest and vindicate for our rights in the cities or in the places where we live. Culture for you and habitat, and I'm sure for you, is very important for change. This is the way we understand culture. In this presentation, I would like to tell you how urbanization trends, urbanization way that it configured in regions and conditions were influencing culture, creativity, innovation. And at the same time, how innovation and creativity influence urbanization. Let me give you some of the major urbanization trends of the world and the relationship to culture. Let me start with history and very fast, because of time, of course. During the Industrial Revolution, that was the moment that urbanization advanced the faster. What we saw is the emergence of industrial centers that were the most important transmitters of global culture. They were highly influential in the way the culture was moving to all cities. But at the same time, and this is a very interesting thing, and purposely we wanted that you cannot read very clear this, is that culture was local, geographic, and global. I think Richard Sennett is here with us, and he said something very beautiful that I would like to say. Culture was being created in countless different creative ways in different spaces and different locations. With time, and we can say this, new centers, new regions emerge, and they compete for the importance and become these transmitters of global culture. Global culture was then rural, was the local, and then was global. As we change, then when I studied architecture and geography last year, I'm sorry, last century, but not the century when the world was 5% urban. The world was only understood as large cities, secondary cities, small cities. And then we saw the beginning of a new geographic manifestations of power, a new concentration of cities in different constellations. This brought to us the idea that culture was not any longer dominated by large nations, but was taking a different geographic shape in which culture was associated to this concentration of cities in urban corridors, mega regions, and different forms. Culture becomes a network. Culture becomes a flow of people, a flow of merchandise, a flow of ideas. Later on, UN Habitat presented a work in 2016, very interesting new findings in which all cities in the world, from the global north, the south, the east, of the west, all of them had something in common. They grew 3 times more of their population. They were expanding in endless peripheries, creating very important conditions for sustainability. Higher cost of energy, more CO2 emissions, etc. But at the same time, reducing, importantly, residential densities. Densities in the last 20 years reduced by almost 40%. And when this happened, they compromised the way innovation, creativity, critical mass of people living in cities can create culture and use it. We always talk about growth and urbanization, but the reality is that the world also has been largely influenced by the shrinking cities. Shrinking cities is not a reduction of population, it's a negative growth. In some exception, it comes with quality of life, but most of the time, it brings decay. It brings some form affecting social integration of population. And then when we study urbanization and culture, we understand that we need to divide some forms of planning for growth and also planning for decay. And when this happens, culture, creativity, and innovation take a completely different stand. This is the way we also should deal urbanization with culture. And then cities in the world have been changing and growing. We say they are the best and sometimes the worst of humanity. They are order and sometimes they are chaos. And when they are this, they are the breeding grounds of forms of exclusion, marginalization, and poverty in different parts of the world. We can see here 75% of cities in the world in the last 2 decades grew more unequal than today. It means that 2.1 billion people live in places where access to opportunities, resources, income conditions are less accessible to them in this world. When this happens, what we see very clearly is that marginalization, exclusion, poverty is appearing in our cities. This manifestation change creates a fundamental change. Culture takes a different perspective. It becomes at the forefront of social movements. And when it's at the forefront of social movements, what we can see is the demonstrations in cities taking physically, taking symbolically places in a way that they use and reproduce culture, innovation, and creativity locally, but also using some global standards and changes. Look at this, extremely interesting. Only from September up to December, when this map was done, is portraying the number of meetings related to climate change in the world. 4 months in the last time. Culture becomes, in that sense, clearly, and cities the incubators of social change, political change, a different forms in which cities will manifest, creating new loyalties, creating new allegiances, creating new identities. When this happens, we really think, why we don't use all these powers for the sake of collective creativity and development? The executive director mentioned in her initial presentation that when cities integrate in the operative mechanism innovation and creativity, when they are open to hear different voices, when they integrate legitimized decisions and creativity, cities are different. UN Habitat has done, and because of time, later we can present in more detail if you want, some of the important changes in the way culture and in the last, say, 20, 30 years have been changing in response to urbanization and planning. One very clear practice comes with the idea that culture was used mostly to produce resources. In this moment, we are talking about fantasies, city branding that was artificial, a lot of Western-sized models and other things that created gentrification, exclusion, and territorial disadvantages in some moments. Then we move to a second important moment. Culture, innovation, creativity were integrated into the city development. We started to talk about, for the first time, of sense of place and the idea that we need to respect public and private spaces altogether. When this happened, the model was really changing to the idea that we need more solidarity, communality, much more integration, shared legacies in our cities. We need urban renewal that is based on participation of people. And then a final moment that we, UN Habitat, fully subscribe, and we believe is part of the SDGs, is the idea that culture, innovation, creativity converge with governance mechanisms, and altogether, what they do is to create a different form of cities. Our representative from UNESCO said something important. Cities, culture, and innovation become drivers of change, of sustainable development, and they become very important ways to realize SDGs in cities. All this to tell you that innovation, creativity requires also technology, but a different form of technology, one in which we understand that this equation, technology started with people being a number, a source. Technology moved to the idea that we become consumers of this data. And today we are the interface with technology to look in a much more intelligent manner to the way we can change our cities in terms of urban intelligence, growth, and development. When this happened, we started talking about new smart cities. But for UN Habitat, smart cities is not only driven by business, it's not only driven by the idea that technology should be dictating everything. The Secretary General said recently, technology has never served the purpose of humanity like today, but technology has also never departed from equality like today. And we need a different form of technology. And for this, what we need, look this picture that I took in Mexico, a family having a day together, each one looking at their own technology, with a technology that serves the people, a technology that is considered as a public good, and technology that supports education. When we do this, cities become the incubators of social, economic, and political transformation. And UN Habitat, what it's doing is supporting this transformation. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Moreno. I'm pleased now to invite Ms. Tembe Onga Di Mang, Mayor of Polokwane, President of the South African Local Government Association and Co-President of the United Cities and Local Government, to share her thoughts with us. So please, Madam Mayor.
Your Excellencies, Honorable Ministers, dear colleagues and friends, the 2030 Agenda is an opportunity for us to rethink what our future will look like and to change the trends the world is facing. The cultural aspect of our 2030 Agenda is essential to its success. Cultural rights, joint heritages, diversity, and the creativity of our communities are all key components of human and sustainable development. To ensure that the goals we set for ourselves in 2015 and 2016 are met, we need to understand, adopt, and appropriate the agendas at the local government. This is what we mean by localization, which will allow for innovation and transformation that our planet needs. To ensure the localization is successful, we must align all our priorities to all spheres of government, addressing all our agendas as one. Only if we harness the power of the new urban agenda from the bottom up will we be able to achieve the goals that we have set for ourselves to face the climate emergency and to secure a safe and a sustainable future for all. From us as the United Cities of Local Governments of the world, we believe in the power of service delivery at local government to put an end to inequalities. The previous presentation did showcase that 70% of our people are staying in cities. So this is why we're calling for emergency in terms of policy frameworks to strengthen the capacity at local government level to implement the new urban agenda, which will in turn allow all our communities to own our global goals. That is why we believe in cultural services that are basic services, and equal access to them should be guaranteed for all men and women, including the poor and the vulnerable. We need to ensure that local good governance also translates and permeates into all our global agendas. Dear colleagues, distinguished participants, we are all on the same boat. The collective decision that will be made in this so-called decade of implementation will be vital to the future of our planet. That is why from our constituency of local government and cities, we ask to be recognized as partners for the implementation of the agendas, to acknowledge the transformation potential of the new urban agenda, to own them from our communities, and to leave no one and no place behind. I thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Madam Mayor. It's my pleasure to invite the Honorable Elisa Ferreira, Commissioner for Cohesion and Reforms, European Commission, to the stage.
Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, distinguished delegates. I am honored to speak here today to a global audience with so much expertise on sustainable urban development. It is my privilege to speak on behalf of the European Union and its 27 member states. We have prepared a full written statement exactly concentrating on delivery, as it was asked by the Executive Director, Ms. Mohd Sharif. We have prepared this full written statement, and so I will just say a few short words. We, the European Union and the 27 member states, fully support the 17 United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. And we fully support the UN Habitat's efforts to promote Sustainable Development Goal 11, on quality of life in cities and communities. Cities and urban areas are a microcosm of the opportunities and the challenges we face today. We just saw some illustrations in the previous presentations. As the title of our forum today makes clear, cities are hubs of innovation and culture, centers of prosperity and development. But at the same time, cities concentrate many of the main challenges of today. The challenges of congestion and pollution, the challenges of social exclusion and poverty, the challenge of providing infrastructure for a rapidly changing population. Opportunities and challenges. This is why the UN's new urban agenda is so important. We in Europe are committed to this agenda. We have taken 3 voluntary commitments and are delivering on them. Our first voluntary commitment, the urban agenda for the EU. This is an institutional innovation, empowering cities, giving them a voice in policy at the national and European level. So far, the urban agenda has led to 115 different actions where partnerships work together on various themes, from climate adaptation to digital transformation, from urban mobility to energy transition, from jobs and skills to social inclusion and affordable housing. Second, we are contributing to the knowledge base with a new people-based definition of cities and settlements. We have produced, tested, and presented this in many countries in cooperation with the UN Habitat, the ILO, the FAO, the OECD, and the World Bank. The new definition is a precursor of progress, enabling the generation of comparable data at a global scale, growing our knowledge and evidence base. The new definition will be presented for endorsement to the UN Statistical Commission later this year. Third line of work, we are fostering city-to-city cooperation across the globe. The EU International Urban Cooperation Programme involves, at the moment, 155 cities around the world. Cities can exchange information and experience directly with other cities. We can learn with each other on key topics related to the UN New Urban Agenda, from smart cities to social inclusion, from mobility to climate adaptation and the circular economy. The European Union is proud to support this cooperation program. This sends a clear message. Cities and regions play a critical role in sustainable development, and this role will only increase in the future. In fact, we plan to expand the scale and scope of this cooperation program. There is then a second phase, phase number 2, that will be launched later today at this forum. In this second phase, the geographic scope will be broader, including collaboration with a new set of 148 cities in Korea, Southeast Asia, and Australasia. And in this phase 2, also the thematic scope will be broader. Existing city-to-city collaborations with China and Japan will expand to include region-to-region collaborations on the theme of innovation. Ladies and gentlemen, in conclusion, you have the European Union active support. We support the UN Urban Agenda through our own work on the European Urban Agenda, but also through our contribution to the knowledge base of urban policy makers, and also through global cooperation and the exchange of experience. I won't take more of your time. I just want to say that we are in Europe delivering, we are cooperating, and we are actually implementing what we were promised to do. I wish you fruitful discussions, and I will be pleased to welcome you to the next edition of the World Urban Forum in 2022, hosted in Europe in the beautiful city of Katowice in Poland. Thank you very much. Shukran.
Thank you, Madam Commissioner. It's an honor to present our last speaker, the Honorable Martha Delgado, Undersecretary of Multilateral Affairs and Human Rights for the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Mexico, and President of the first session of the UN Habitat Assembly.
Thank you very much, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. I am not taking a lot of your time. I am a factor of this balance of this specific slot of the forum because I am the third woman and the second Mexican on this stage, so I will be brief. It is an honor to be here. It is an honor to be part of this 10th session of the World Urban Forum and the most important platform to discuss sustainable urbanization and its relation to the global development agendas. This forum was designed as a non-legislative event aimed to produce innovative ideas to identify joint urban solutions. Since 2002, when the first session took place in Nairobi, the outcomes of this forum has allowed to gain knowledge about the best practices and policies and to understand which are the strategic partnerships and funding mechanisms we must use to undertake transformative actions together. Innovation-oriented solutions are currently changing our world and creating appropriate conditions to promote cities and countries as the best scenarios for sustainability and for urban development. UN Habitat has recently created an integrated strategic plan for the next 4 years. This plan was adopted by the Governing Council and after the newly created UN Habitat Assembly, which I have the privilege to chair. This plan is ambitious and is practical. It is highly innovative and contains concrete steps. Through this plan, UN Habitat will support the most pressing challenges that cities and human settlements are facing. Issues as inequality, exclusion, poverty, climate change, and different forms of conflict. The strategic plan of UN Habitat is about people, prosperity, planet, and peace. And all of those P's are supported by partnerships. This 5 P's structure 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development and set the stage for global change and social transformation. Cities need to contribute to this transformation by having a clear roadmap, visions, and plan to link actions to this universal aspiration. In recent years, important progress has been made in achieving the 2030 Agenda, but there is still much more that must be done. It is essential to connect plans to action, actions to fund, and funds to impact in order to generate a real transformation. We need to make sure that we are reaching more people and we create the conditions to leave no one behind. Going forward, this forum will remain a vital part of implementing the UN Habitat Strategic Plan in supporting the vision of leaving no one and no place behind, and in gaining critical partners in implementing specific thematic resolutions for the UN Habitat Assembly, such as gender capacity building for the new urban agenda, urban-rural linkages, safer cities, among other matters. As President of the UN Habitat Assembly, I look forward to engage with key stakeholders at this forum and specifically member states to seek ways in which we can fully harness the advantages and opportunities presented by the World Urban Forum to inform the oversight works of the government bodies of UN Habitat, strengthening the UN Habitat as a leading agency to the urban and human settlements. And finally, I have to say that the decade for action that the United Nations Secretary General recently called for offers a great opportunity to accelerate sustainable solutions to the world's biggest challenges by having cities and urbanization as one of the 6 new entry points of the 17 sustainable goals. Now is the time for action, and I invite all of you to participate with enthusiasm in this important forum. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Madam Undersecretary. Let's give another round of applause to all of our speakers and performers. So, ladies and gentlemen, this is now concludes our opening ceremony program. Please make your way to the exhibition for the opening. And again, I thank you and welcome you to the World Urban Forum in Abu Dhabi. Thank you.